Tesla's been getting a lot of attention for the past few years around the country. Now it's getting some very special and perhaps unwanted attention in Ohio. Auto dealers there are pushing for a law that would effectively make it impossible for Tesla to sell their cars inside of the state. This is Senate Bill 260 being sponsored by Republican Senator Tom Patton. It would explicitly prohibit the state from issuing dealer licenses to manufacturers, auto manufacturers, including Tesla. Now this is interesting not because it's unique, it is not. You've seen similar things like this in Arizona, North Carolina, Texas as well. It's not always the exact sort of bill, but they're discriminatory, specifically targeted at Tesla. And so for most of the time when you go to buy a car, you don't go to Ford's dealership, you go to a dealership that is licensed by Ford to sell their cars. You talk to dealers and they are then selling it. It's like a third party between you and the actual manufacturers. Now Tesla is very different and I think much more modern example of how to sell cars. You go to an official Tesla dealership where you look at cars, you see the options, you perhaps take a test drive, and then you buy directly from the manufacturer, meaning that whether you're in Honolulu or New Hampshire, you're paying the exact amount for your Tesla.
You negotiate the price, and not even negotiate the price, you get the...
It's like a Saturn dealership back in the day.
Essentially, and pick the car you want, and there's a price.
Rather than like having to deal with, does this particular dealer like me? So they're going to give me the nice face discount. Yeah. I know I personally am done with that. I've only leased one car new. Never want to experience it again. And so many people are liking the way that Tesla is doing business, but the dealerships, the third-party dealerships, they don't like it at all because, of course, they make their money by being in the way between you and the manufacturers. Tesla's trying to shake things up, and they're trying to make sure that Tesla cannot do that. Now, in the past year, the Ohio Automobile Dealers Association, the main lobbying group for these dealers, gave $100,000 to Ohio state lawmakers, implying that there's at least some chance that they'll be able to pass this law. As I said, they have already done so in several states.
That doesn't seem like a lot of money.
It doesn't.
But these are it's very cheap to buy these state senators in a lot of cases.
Which is so funny to me because this is, Senator Tom Patton, right? These are people on the right side of the aisle that are supposed to be the people who really respect pure capitalism. And this like flies in the face of pure capitalism. Yes. It's crazy
100%.
It's exactly the opposite of free markets.
Yeah.
It unnaturally limits competition. And that's the whole point of crony capitalism, which is in reality Republican 101.
Yeah.
That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
They get big checks from big business usually, and in this case, car dealerships in your states are huge business, right? They're huge advertisers and radio, TV, etc., and they also donate to politicians. And here they're basically killing off their competition with a bill. Yeah. I mean, if you are a real conservative, you would despise what they're doing. I mean, it's the most obvious crony capitalism I've ever seen.
And it's not even like, man, the Chinese government is subsidizing these cars and they're flooding the U.S. with these cheap cars. Not like this is an American car.
But you never hear that. You never hear this kind of patriotic pride around Tesla,
because it's from California, it's from the coast,
exactly,
it's a liberal elite thing.
And it doesn't use gas.
Exactly.
It actually helps the environment. And the Republicans have become so programmed now by their leadership and who is funded by the oil companies, to the point where they think like gas is good. If they put stuff in the air, good, yes. Deplete the ozone. Tesla, that's a pussy car that doesn't deplete the ozone. Yeah. Like real manly cars would deplete it and destroy the world.
Fox attacks them constantly. They should be filled with freaking pride over the fact that Tesla is not just doing amazingly well in the U.S., where the Tesla Model S is outselling the comparable cars from BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and things like that. But they're selling amazingly well abroad, including soon in China and throughout Europe. Like, they're doing so well, and for the past 2 decades, maybe 3 decades, U.S. automakers have willingly sucked because they knew that people just wanted to buy overpriced SUVs and trucks and things like that. This is the future, and they should be embracing it.
Luxury. I mean, this is not a cheap car,
and the fact that $70,000 or more.
And that's nobody buys a $70,000 Model S. That's crazy. It's like crank windows or something. You know what I mean? Like the base model doesn't give you anything. It's always going to cost you more than that. It's not a cheap car. And the car before the original Tesla was 110 base. I mean, it was very expensive.
But this is not an accident. And Fox News also used to speak, and we covered this when we had the current show, against the GM's electric car, right? And it's not because they're idiot Neanderthals, although you're tempted to draw that conclusion. It's because they get advertising from the oil companies, and so they want to help the oil companies. It's not an accident these Ohio legislators are considering this bill. It's not that they're all Neanderthals who are like, destroy the earth, yes, electric cars bad, gas good, right? No, they get paid for that, right? So that's why they hate all the electric cars, because they get paid to hate the electric cars.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have an electric car made by GM. Come at me, bro. No, but really, and so for right now, it might be difficult for Tesla to make the case that they need to be protected by not being discriminated against. But in a couple of years, and this is why I think that they're moving on it right now, in a couple of years it's going to be a different situation, because in about a year they're going to be launching their Model X SUV, which is also going to be pretty expensive. But within 3 years, they're aiming to come out with a car between $30,000 and $40,000.
Even
and
the
guy
SUV
who thinks
is significantly less than what the Model X is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But a red collar guy who's like, oh, it's just for cappuccino drinking elitists. Suddenly, $35,000 Tesla that has like the highest safety ratings in the country, is better performance than a Ferrari. Maybe he wants a Tesla at that
And
point.
when they get their manufacturing to the level where they can keep up with demand, I mean, right now you're on a waiting list if you want a Tesla.
Yeah.
They don't just have them lying around. They're making them custom for you, and you have to wait a while to get your car. But once we get to a point where manufacturing is higher, where we've got more plants, where you've got more showrooms across the country, this is going to be a real issue. Right now it's probably easy for Elon Musk to say, okay, this state doesn't want to buy my car, whatever, I don't have enough to give people anyway. But the legislation needs to be blocked now so that this doesn't become a precedent across the country.
By the way,
I totally agree.
Elon Musk is not hurting for cash.
Exactly.
What I would do if I was him is like, oh, you want to bribe them? I don't know if you know this, but I'm a billionaire. So, okay, you want to play ball? All right, you guys who vote against this, and I'm not going to do this state by state, but I'm going to make an example out of you guys. Okay, everyone who votes in favor of blocking Tesla, I will personally eliminate from politics.
Yeah.
I will spend whatever it takes to make sure you lose.